Hey everyone, welcome on to Branded. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and beyond the brand. I'm Sarah Glenn. Today we are talking about how to expand your reach with offline marketing strategies, right? So post-pandemic, everything that we do is online, right? Our banking, our shopping, like shopping in all capacities, right? Even our grocery shopping. Almost everything that we used to do in person is now online, which is phenomenal, right? It creates like this ease of access which we didn't have before. But there is something to be said about person to person marketing and connecting with people in the real world. And this was something personally that I was craving for myself and my business. 4 years post pandemic, and I find myself working from home 100% of the time, not really communicating with people face to face all that frequently. I don't even leave the house, but maybe once a week, right? And so I just was craving this connection that the online space, just quite frankly, cannot give you. There's something very tangible about being in person. I mean, obviously, it's tangible, right? So let's talk about how to expand your reach utilizing offline marketing. As a fellow introvert, I'm sure anybody listening to this that kind of dubs themselves as an introvert is listening to this and thinking, like, no way, no way. I'm not going in person. I'm not going to talk to somebody in line at Target. I'm not going to just strike up a conversation with somebody because that's just not who I am. That's okay. You don't have to do those things. Now, I would obviously challenge you to step out of the box a little bit because, yeah, I'm an introvert, but when I'm around the right people, when I'm around people that are sort of energetically aligned with me, my introvert becomes an extrovert. Like I get excited about being in that space. I get excited about having conversations with people. And, something to really consider is social media, it's like a magnifying glass or a megaphone, right? Essentially, it's just going to blow up whatever it is that is actually going on in your life and in your business. And so, social media is sort of like the megaphone for your genius, for your business to have its place online. But it should not be the house that your genius lives in, right? Allow your business and your expertise and all the things that you're great at to be experienced in the real world. There are tons of professionals doing business in the real world every single day, and they don't utilize social media the way so many people have over the last couple of years started to, move in that direction. So it's really important to consider that your dream client may not be hanging out on social media as much as you think they are. Why not meet them in the real world? How much more impactful would that be? Also, right? And of course, there's a global aspect of being online, right? You can communicate with people that are in different time zones, different states, different countries. And that's phenomenal. But that's not the only place to meet your dream client. I guarantee your dream client is probably in your city and you're just not talking to her. So, this was a realization that I had recently. And moving into 2024, I decided I really wanted to start networking with business owners and entrepreneurs local to where I'm living. Now, I'm currently in Houston, Texas, but that is not going to be my forever home base. I know that, but that's not going to stop me from connecting with people that live here right now while I live here. And so being online only, it really does kind of create this potential of like narrowing your brand's ability to reach somebody. Yes, it is this vast space, but it is really noisy too, right? And being online only, it potentially kind of narrows that lane of where your brand is seen. And I was starting to feel this. I was starting to feel, how do I say, almost like it was like Groundhog's Day. Like I was waking up every day going, okay, what am I going to post on social media? And you just stay consistent with it because it is one of those things that you have to have a level of consistency because not every day is going to give you necessarily the same engagement, right? Your energy, how you show up for that day's content, it does have a lot to do with how it performs. And I'm not at 100% every single day. Nobody is, right? And so I was feeling like it was important to really take my business offline and get it in front of people and actually have conversations with people in the real world. And something that I really started to feel myself. And I figured if I'm feeling this, other people are probably feeling this too. Digital fatigue. I mean, who else has felt digital fatigue, right? Like emails are coming at you nonstop, right? Love email marketing. But at the same time, how many spam emails are we getting every single day, right? Let's get more intentional with our email marketing efforts because how many people out there aren't? And all their emails are just getting deleted. We don't want that. This digital fatigue where people are getting a little fed up with how similarly everybody sounds online. People are copy and pasting all of these scripts and these verbiages that it becomes so monotonous and it just gets fucking tired. Honestly. So mix it up. And if you're feeling that way, don't let it stop you from scaling and growing your business. Instead, make a little bit of a pivot, create some like online and offline marketing strategies that align with each other that can help boost each other's efforts. And now you've taken your business away from that digital fatigue and put it into a space of something new and something exciting that now you can be excited about and you can bring to new faces and new people, right? So your audience isn't only online, right? I mentioned that before. So why not meet them where they're at? Meet them at local networking events. Maybe they still read the paper. Maybe they listen to radio stations and not just Spotify and podcasts, right? Meet them where they're at. A lot of people still watch TV, like regular cable or local channels. Not everybody is streaming these days, although I have seen TV advertisements on like every streaming station these days. It's turning into cable television, essentially. But there's ad spends that can be done that aren't on Facebook. I'm not necessarily advocating for that if that's where your business is at and that's what makes sense. Obviously, why not? It's an option for you. And that's really all this podcast is about, is to help you see that there are options and possibilities that don't just live on Facebook and Instagram. Because I know as someone who started growing my business online, more than 3 years ago now, and not really knowing how to navigate that space, I am only just now waking up to the fact that social media is not the only place for your business to live. It just isn't. For one, you don't own the platform. So your profiles, not to be like, sound scary, but they're at risk at any moment, right? And so there's guidelines and stuff to follow, and sometimes they just go away. And what are you going to do then, right? If your business is not living somewhere else, for example, an email list, yes, it's online, but you own that. That's a way to communicate with your people regardless of social media. So how about build up more streams of connection, more like channels of connecting with your dream client that isn't just on social. Allow social media to be the thing that helps magnify and really like spread your message to the masses globally, but let your message be heard locally too. So no matter what type of marketing you're doing, whether it's online or offline, the secret to having really successful marketing is creating a memorable experience. Now that's whether they purchase or not, right? The memorable experience begins the moment that they start to interact and engage with your brand. So if that is through some sort of in-person event where you're talking, you're networking with people, that's their first encounter with your brand, make it memorable. that comes from you, right? That's going to be coming straight from you. Now, maybe you also have business cards, right? Anybody can do business cards, especially with Canva. Like, you can design, there's a ton of templates. You can print straight from Canva. You can use Vistaprint. Like, there's all sorts of avenues for you to get that going. And you don't even have to have physical business cards if you don't want to, right? If you're someone who maybe doesn't want to do the print, doesn't want to pay for the print, or maybe you just know that there's things that change and you don't want to have to commit to like 1,000 business cards. Like me personally, I printed business cards and then I changed my Instagram handle a couple months later, and I had hundreds of business cards with the wrong Instagram handle I had to just throw away. Now, I know I'm not going to change my handle again, so I could reprint cards, but I'll show you what I've been using. And this is something that when I meet people in the real world, it's not only does it share my contact information digitally and like puts my contact right into their phone. I'm doing this face to face, right? And it's also creating a conversation piece. So I'm showing people that I'm utilizing this tool, which is free, and I'm sharing something new with them. So for example, I was just at a networking event last week because I joined and am now on the board of a local networking organization. We'll get into that in a minute, but I was at the founders party for all of our new members because we are a brand new chapter in Houston. Super fantastic event, absolutely gorgeous. And I'm sitting there talking to people, and people are coming up and they're dropping business cards, right? It's very like traditional marketing strategies, which are phenomenal. Love them. They're never going to go out of style, right? And for a second, I was thinking to myself, like, oh shit, I should have business cards. Like, why don't I have those printed? All my information, like my website, that's not going to change. My handles on social media aren't going to change. All my details are staying the same from here on out. Why don't I have business cards? And I felt a little bit like, I don't know, like I was comparing myself and judging myself. And then I decided, fuck that. No, I'm going to do exactly what I'm going to do. And I like using the digital business cards because I like the freedom it has for me to swap out information and make it look different anytime I want. And so I utilize this tool called Popl, it's Popl, and I just use the free version. And so what happens whenever I meet somebody is I show them, it's kind of hard to see, I don't know with the light, but you can kind of see. So I show them this, and this is a fantastic tool that like it even pops up and says, share your info with Sarah. And they punch in their information, or I can even have them simply scan that QR code, and then boom, all my information is on their phone. All they have to do is click save. Now, there is a paid version of this. I just use the free version because I don't really care about having all of the integrations and stuff on the back end at the moment. But that's an option that anybody can do when you're out in the real world. Have some way that people can connect with you. So whether it's a physical business card or something digital like Popl, it doesn't matter. Get your information in one place and make it super, super easy for people to connect with you. Another option for you to do offline marketing is community engagement. So I mentioned that I'm now a part of and a board member of a local organization. Now, this was not on my radar. Whenever I had this goal in 2024 of like, okay, I need to take my business into the real world, I really didn't have any kind of like how this would happen. I just basically allowed myself to be open to the fact that if I met somebody out in the real world and the conversation was, struck up and we were talking about business, I wouldn't shy away from it. That's really where it all started. Like I had no ulterior motives, no agenda. I was not trying to get onto the board of this organization. It just so happened that because I'm building relationships with people outside of the online space, while also utilizing my online space to continue to nurture the people I'm meeting in the real world, there was this like full circle connection where the president of the board had met me multiple times at other events that I'd gone to and thought of me whenever a board seat was available and they needed someone to help with their communications and their marketing. Like, how freaking aligned is that? I wasn't seeking that. I just allowed myself to be open to the possibility that something like that would be available to me in my city. Why wouldn't it be? And yes, I live in a big city, but even if you're not in a huge city, you almost have a little more of an advantage because you have a little more awareness of what's actually going on around you because there's a little, like, not as much busyness, right? So I would highly encourage you to jump on Google and do a quick search of like local organizations that do XYZ, right? Whatever it is that your business does, go do a quick Google search of what is in your area. What kind of local organizations are there? Some of them might even be free. Some you're probably going to have to pay for because, I mean, these organizations put on events typically that you as a member may not have to even pay for. That's what your membership fee typically pays for, right? It's not paying salaries for these people. It's paying for the organization to actually be alive and be able to service the community. And so think about those things. And, you know, it is really important to make sure that when you're going to get into these local organizations and communities, that they are aligned with your vision. You don't want to just do it for the hell of it. Like, you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste their time. You don't want to feel like it's just a wasted effort. So do a little bit of research, attend one of their events before becoming a member. Like, if that's an option for you and you can attend an event free, do that, or even for low cost, right? Before I became a board member or decided I wanted to join this organization, I went to one of their events. It was $25. I got free drinks, I got free food, I got to network with people, totally worth the $25. And then it turned out that it's now blossomed into this really incredible opportunity where I'm getting to collaborate with professionals that are photographers, design, floral design, other brand design and consultants, event coordinators, like professionals that are out in the real world doing things outside of social media while also utilizing social media to help bolster their business. And so having the duality of online and offline is so fucking powerful because one will feed the other. It becomes like breath in, breath in, breath out, right? Instead of like social media just being the place that your genius lives in, it's almost like you're just sucking in breath every single time you're posting content, right? You're just like, okay, someone gives something to me, someone gives something to me. Well, when you're out in the real world, it's like breathing out. So it becomes this full circle circulation where your business is alive and thriving and breathing. It is a real living thing, right? So it can be really exciting to do both parts. A couple other options that you could do for some offline marketing: trade shows. So, like, depending on the nature of your business, I guarantee there are trade shows that pass through your city or very near your city, and you could buy a table or a booth. You could show up and be there for all the people that come to these trade shows and want to find out more information about the thing that you actually do because it's a trade show and it's your trade. So why not connect the two, right? You could even do press releases in like local magazines, newspapers. This may take a little extra effort. Like, you're going to have to do some research on who's the right person to talk to do these submissions for press releases. You may even want someone to help you write it. That's an option though. It's not something to be counted out. People look at magazines all the time. People are reading newspapers all the time. A lot of these newspapers have online like editorials and stuff. So even though I'm saying offline, what I'm really meaning is just not social media. There is so many other avenues you can look at that are not Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. Now, I think that these platforms are phenomenal and they have such the potential to make incredible impact. But if your business is only living there, you're really cutting yourself short. Like, there is so much more potential on the other side. So a couple other options: you could do product samples. Like, maybe you've met people along the way and you've gathered addresses and you want to send product samples. Maybe they're past customers, they haven't reordered. Send them some product samples. Like, there's ways to connect with these people that you've already met. So product samples are a fantastic way to do that, especially if you're in the product business, right? Like mine's more of service-based, so that's not necessarily the way to do it. That's why I'll create free resources and those things I offer online. But when I meet people out in the real world, I offer those things to them as well because they live on my website. Like people can get to them regardless of social media, right? Another thing you could do is hosting an event. Now, if you're brand spanking new at business, this is probably not something you're going to do. But if you've been in business for a little while and hosting a retreat or some sort of small luncheon or kind of like a little brunch situation where you get people together locally in your community, or even people fly in from out of state or another city, like it does not matter if they're connected to you and they want to be in person and have that person to person connection, they'll come to an event, right? So doing retreats and stuff can be hugely impactful for your business because it can create really, really strong relationships with your dream clients. And of course, utilize online marketing strategies to promote the event, right? That's how they talk, that's how they come together, right? You're using both. It's not really one or the other. It's just that so many of us have forgotten about offline marketing. So I'm like, let's reintroduce it into the conversation. And then, of course, you can promote your products, your services at other events that are put on by others. So even if they're huge conferences, like you can reach out to the people that are doing these retreats, conferences, any of these other kinds of events that you see happening in and around your city, or even something you might have to travel to, right? Like I live in Texas, but if there was an event happening in Florida that was really aligned with my business and I wanted to be able to promote at that event, I would pay the fee to be a sponsor of that event. And I would be able to then promote my services at the event. And so, really, all it is just conversation, right? If this is something that sounds exciting to you, any of these options, start doing a little bit of research, start having conversations with people that you know have retreats and events, right? Get your foot in the door a little bit. And before you know it, maybe you're the one having the retreats and the events, and you have people coming to you saying, hey, can I be a sponsor? Can I partner with you? Can I give you $1,000 so I can promote my business there too because it's really aligned with yours? Like, how exciting would that be? I mean, a client of mine actually, she's got an event going on in July, and I'm so excited for her because to see how connected she is to her community, and she will go out to local yoga shops and do like perform her services, her breath works, her meditations, all of these things. She doesn't just do it online. She can, right? She can, but she doesn't just do it online. She chooses to go offline into the real world and connect people to then what she's doing online. So it's a new paradigm to have to really get used to, especially if you've only been building your business post pandemic. There's a very different perspective than people that were doing this before the pandemic hit. Like so many people were used to doing in-person things, and anybody who started building their business after 2020, they're not really used to that. It's just not the norm, and it wasn't even encouraged for a very long time, which makes sense, right? But now we're 4 years later. Why are we still only online? Why? We're just stunting our own growth and scalability. So ultimately, you have to decide for yourself, what's the reason you want to go out into the real world? What is the outcome that you want when you do take your business into the real world? Like for me, my whole purpose was I wanted to connect with other business owners and entrepreneurs locally in my city so I could have conversations with them, not only to potentially have more clients, but also so I could learn. I wanted to learn from people that are professionals doing business, not just on social media. That was ultimately the thing that I wanted the most. I wanted that connection. I wanted to be able to network with people. And of course, in turn, it will create brand awareness and most likely clients, right? It's a full circle situation. Whenever you show up with the intention of creating new relationships, of really connecting with people, and just curiosity, there is so much that can be had when you show up with curiosity, when you really just shed all of the preconceived notions, biases, and judgments around how uncomfortable you might be if you go to a local networking event. Yeah, I was really fucking uncomfortable, but guess what? I showed up at that very first event. I ended up knowing so many people there. I had no idea I was going to know people there, but I did because I'd shown up to other events a year or two before, and we just remembered each other and we were able to strike up conversations. Like, you never know what you're going to encounter until you say yes to it. And that yes can open up a huge channel of abundance for you. It may not mean money and clients right away. It might just mean connection. It might just mean inspiration, education, right? Whatever it is, say yes to something. Say yes to something that isn't social media and see what happens. It's going to create a really fantastic channel of abundance for you. And I'll leave you with this. Something I always remind myself of. My clients are people. They are not just profiles on social media. Talk to them. Have conversations with them. Meet them where they're at. And if it's not on Facebook or Instagram, that's okay, right? Your clients are people. They are not just profiles on social media. So if you want to book a free brand consult with me so we can talk through your business and how to have that collaboration of offline and online marketing strategies, I am more than happy to have that conversation. I absolutely love having conversations like this with business owners, because to see that expansion happen right before my eyes, gorgeous. I love it. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And, I really encourage you, expand your reach by getting curious about offline marketing. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review. And for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.